Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here. It is such a gift and honor to be spending these 10 days of practice with you. It's given me such an incredible amount of inspiration and joy to know that so many of us, 108 of us around the world, are practicing every day our sun salutations and our meditations, or even just thinking about yoga and bringing it into our lives in a deeper way. So thank you for being here with me now. It means the world. I'm also just so inspired by the ripple effect of goodness that this is having in the world. So when your friends, when your loved ones see that you are committing to practice and they can see the benefits that this is having for you on a day-to-day level, you're inspiring them and creating this domino effect of goodness and well-being and inspiration. So thank you for committing to the journey, for investing in yourself, and for trusting me as well and this beautiful Pure Flow Yoga community. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We are going to start with just a reading I want to share with you from a modern dancer. And it's all about practice. So her name is Martha Graham. So if you'd like, come and sit into a comfortable seated meditation pose. Maybe you're sitting on a cushion or the floor, wiggle your rib cage up tall, lift the shoulders up to the ears, roll them down the back, and then take your thumb and index finger together. So we are preparing to ground ourselves in a little meditation. I love this mudra here with our thumb and our index finger touching. This is a beautiful tool for meditation and staying present. There's a beautiful symbolism here. The thumb and index finger together touching represent our individual self connecting with our highest self, our everyday self with our divine self. It's also symbolic of the relationship between the student and the teacher, and this dance that we do between the two, this coming together, this humbling ourselves. And when we do this, we remind ourselves of the attitude, of the awareness that no matter how much we've studied, no matter how much we've learned and experienced, there's always further to go. There's always more to learn. So we stay humble. This is one of the greatest attributes that we can cultivate within ourselves to create this quality of humility, this openness, this willingness to learn. So it's my intention for you today that you are able to take some valuable insight into your practice, into your awareness, that you stay in the space of openness and receptivity with our palms facing up, so that you can always continue to learn and grow until you take your last breath. So when you are ready, take a nice deep breath in through the nose and exhale from the mouth. Let out a nice big sigh. We'll do two more like that. Big breath in. I'll invite you to close your eyes now and open your ears as I share this beautiful inspiration about practice. So coming into a meditative space within yourself. So this quote from the modern dancer Martha Graham: "I believe that we learn by practice. Whether that means to learn to dance by practicing dancing, or learn to live by practicing living. The principles are the same. In each, it's the performance of a dedicated, precise set of acts, physical or intellectual, from which come shapes of achievement, a sense of one's being, a satisfaction of one's spirit. One becomes in some area an athlete of God, Practice means to perform over and over again in the face of all obstacles. Some act of vision, some act of faith, of desire. Practice is a means of inviting the perfection desired. One last quote here. The very heart of yoga practice is abhyasa. So if you did our lesson today, we learned about abhyasa and vairagya. The very heart of practice is abhyasa, which translates as steady effort in the direction you want to go. And that's from Sally Kempton. So keeping your eyes soft or closed, I invite you to deepen the breath in and out through the nose. Just connecting with how you're feeling in your body, how you're feeling in your heart, and how you're feeling in your mind. Stilling your awareness now as though you're looking straight ahead from behind closed eyes. We'll do 5 full cycles of Samvriti breath. So this is an equalized breath pattern. So we'll inhale to 4, hold to 4, exhale and hold for 4 each. And so we'll do that together. So your awareness between the 2 eyebrows will begin. Take a nice deep breath in. So inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, hold. We'll internalize the count. Inhale. Exhale. We'll finish our last 2 full cycles with our own breath rhythm. Release the count of the breath after the next exhale and simply deepen your breath for a few rounds. Maybe your exhale is becoming slightly longer now. Gently releasing the breath, just noticing how that feels on your body, on your nervous system, on your mind. Join your hands together in Anjali Mudra, prayer pose at the center of your heart, and I invite you now to revisit the intention that you created for this challenge. So what is it that you have been cultivating over the past 6 days? Perhaps it's more openness in your body, or more peace in your heart, more slowness in the mind, more self-love and self-esteem that comes from showing up to a commitment. Get really clear on your intention. And we'll come into one beautiful Om together to seal this grounding practice. So take a nice deep breath in and out through the mouth, letting go all the stale air. And joining me at the top of the next inhale. Soft smile across the face, gently bow to your beautiful heart. And release the hands, come back into presence. Thank you for joining me on that little meditation. We'll come into one more little practice of connecting breath and movement and intention. Bring the backs of your hands to touch. I know some of you have been on retreat with me and you've done this lotus mudra before. So our hands are like the roots, and we're gonna uproot all of the resistance, all of the distraction, all of the stories we tell ourselves for why we don't practice. We're gonna inhale, uproot what no longer serves us, and plant again the seed of our intention at the heart center. Joining the forearms together, letting that flower grow towards the sun, thumb and index finger touching, and exhale, we gently release. Let Anna welcome in. So we're gonna connect this movement now to the breath. So backs of hands to touch. Inhale, uproot what no longer serves. Join the hands together, grow your flower towards the light, and thumb and index finger to release. Let's do that again, this beautiful lotus mudra. Inhale, backs of hands to touch. A seed forms, the flower grows, and exhale to release. And do one more on your own, please. Connecting your breath, your movement, your intention, coming into this space of presence with one another. Beautiful. Let's take the right hand to the left knee, left hand behind, lengthen, grow tall. Inhale, exhale, twist. Turn the head and gaze back. And then looking forward to release, second side. Left hand, right knee, right fingertips behind us. Root down to rise as you inhale, and exhale to deepen your twist. Bring your head and gaze back to center and release. You can take a few moments, your hands on your shoulders, to roll your shoulders back. Creating some movements. Let's do 3 back and 3 forward. Beautiful. It's so wonderful to see you all here and to finally be moving in real time together. And release. Inhale, sweep your arms up, interlace the hands, take them up, wiggle your rib cage long, relax your shoulders, and bring your chin to your chest. Look up, fingertips behind the head, lean back, draw the shoulder blades towards each other, the elbows toward each other on the back. And then coming back to center, release, and just take the next few moments to open your body in whatever way feels natural. Maybe you're doing some side bends or some twists. Just give yourself permission to come into your body, to come into the breath. Well, I've got some nice cracks there today. Beautiful. And when you're ready, we're going to turn to our question and answer portion. So I'll address some of the questions that I've received through email, through our Facebook group, through instant messaging. And if you have a question that you'd like to ask right now, then I invite you to go to the chat section at the bottom of the Zoom platform, and you can just type it in on the side. And at the end of our session today, I'll unmute us all so that we can connect in real time. Sound good? Thumbs up? Perfect. Okay, so our first question today comes from Gabby, who is in Thailand. Gabby says, I used to be a practicing yoga. I even did a teacher training. I was very flexible. Now I have a deep and committed spiritual practice with meditation. But the movement practices of yoga have fallen away. When I do practice stretching, I feel ashamed of where I'm at physically, especially compared to what I used to feel like. I don't know what to do. I do love myself as I am, but I don't fully love that I've let myself get so out of shape. Great question, Gabby. Thank you so much for just sharing your vulnerability and your honesty. I think for me, what this really brings to mind is that yoga truly is all about the journey and not the destination. There are going to be times in our life where we're really fit and we're practicing and we're aligned and we're on point, and there are going to be other times of our lives when we fall out of our flow. This is the nature of life. The nature of life is vibration, it's expansion and contraction. In yoga, there's a word known as spanda, which points to this very thing. We're always in this constant ebb and flow, this expansion and contraction. And what we learn through our practice, through meditation, is really to avoid, if possible, identifying with our perceived successes and our perceived failures, because everything changes always. This is the only thing that doesn't change itself. It's inevitable. It's part of life. So first of all, I want to celebrate you for showing up to this challenge, for showing up to your daily spiritual practice, because I'm sure there are wonderful benefits. Now, the first of the Yoga Sutras is, now begins the practice of yoga. How I interpret that is, start where you are right now. There is a temptation, of course, to compare ourselves to younger version of ourselves or of Instagram yogis that we see out there. But the reason that someone totally new to the practice of yoga, and the reason that someone who's a totally advanced practitioner can still get so much out of this challenge, is that there's always deeper and further to go. Wherever you are is the perfect place to start. So start where you're at. Now, the second thing is, I really want you to set yourself up for success. Now, if you used to be a practicing asana practitioner and you used to practice for 90 minutes at a time, then committing yourself to 5 minutes may at first seem trivial, but I assure you that it's not. Start small. Start with something attainable, like what we're doing here with this practice. So I'm just gonna let another friend in. Okay, beautiful. So start with your 5 minutes a day, like we're doing on this challenge. Start with your 3 sun salutations. Showing up every day is gonna help you build the confidence to keep showing up. And not only that, one of the greatest things about yoga, about the physical practice of yoga, is that you feel the benefits right away. It's got such an awesome feedback system. You stretch your leg for a moment or two and already you're feeling more open. So start small and celebrate every time you show up. Because every time you show up, every time you feel good, this is gonna help to support you to keep showing up. So as much as possible, I invite all of you to release guilt and to release shame. Yoga doesn't need to be something else on our list that we're not doing. Every time you show up, celebrate, wonderful. And if you didn't show up, that's okay. You have another opportunity now or tomorrow. Guilt can only serve us insofar as it inspires us to change. So if you are feeling the need to get back into your body, then I fully support you to do that. Start small, celebrate all wins, let go of guilt. If you don't show up, it's okay. If you do show up, you're gonna feel better. So come into deep connection with your why. Come into the remembrance of why you've shown up to this challenge, why practice is important for you. So I hope that helps to answer your question, and thank you so much for taking the time, Gabby, to share your experience, because I know that so many of us can resonate. The reason that I'm helping you guys with this challenge is because it's a challenge for me. I've been practicing yoga for more than 15 years, and I still find it challenging to go to the mat sometimes or to meditate for the full length of time that I aspire to. So you're not alone. And this is one of the reasons that we do it with other people. This is one of the reasons that we go to classes and need each other's support. So thank you so much for your question. Our next question is from Tommy from the US, and she's already sent me a message that she's gonna watch the replay. So hopefully I can figure out the technology so that we can watch this again. So Tommy says, I've recently suffered from a wrist injury, which has resulted in putting my yoga practice essentially on hold. I'm concerned that any pressure on my wrist will only exacerbate the injury. What can I do to safely continue my practice aside from eliminating all postures involving the wrists? Okay, that's a really wonderful question, because a lot of people have injuries, whether they're chronic and they persist over time, or whether they're acute and they're just something that's happening right now. Now, one of the excuses or stories or reasons that we can take for not practicing is, I've hurt myself, so I can't practice. Now, in yoga, we know that what we're cultivating here is flexibility and adaptability, not only in our body, but in our minds. So everything that we do in our outer world is in reflection and in connection with what we're cultivating in our inner world. So thank you so much for your question, Tommy. The key thing about injury is to avoid exacerbating it. So you're absolutely correct. In yoga, pain and alignment are mutually exclusive. So you want to avoid pain. There's a line between pain and sensation that only you can really know. So if at any stage you're experiencing pain or discomfort, this is the body's way of telling you to back off, to slow down, to modify, and to use props. So props and modifications are your best friend. I love this quote. I just want to share it with you. Yoga is not for the flexible. It's for the willing. So if you are willing, I am going to share with you a wrist modification sun salutation practice that you can use throughout the rest of our challenge and the rest of your life whenever it arises. So if you want, you're welcome to come and practice with me now. So we're gonna stand at the top of our mat for this wrist modification sun salutation series. Okay, so you're welcome to just watch, or you're welcome to join me. So coming to the top of our mat, our feet are hips distance. So this is a sequence that I've created but it's really beneficial even if you don't have any wrist injuries. So you might like to switch it up and give it a try. So lift and spread your toes, soft bend in the knees, like always. Push to the pinky toe outer edge of the feet, and then lengthen from the hips to the rib cage. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, hinge from the hips. Inhale, look up halfway, lift, hands to the earth, shin or thighs. And as you exhale, bring your hands to the earth, open your feet wide, and we'll come into Malasana. Now, I actually think that Malasana would be an excellent pose to bring into every sun salutation because it's so opening for the hips. It's really releasing for any issue in our digestive system, any issue of menstrual cramping. A lot of us here are women, and this pose is one of the greatest poses for women that I know. Now, if your feet aren't quite touching the earth, you're always welcome to work with cushions or blocks underneath your heels. So our next move here is we're gonna come onto our toes and bring our forearms flat on the earth. Lift your hips and step back 1 foot at a time into a forearm plank. So firm the knees, pull the belly in, lengthen. You might like to rock forward and back. So this is a really good toning and core strengthener. From here, I'll come into my cobra modification, which is a sphinx. So bring your hips to the earth, tops of the feet down, press down through the forearms, draw the energy in, look up, inhale. This is our sphinx pose. You might like to bring some neck rolls here, lifting the chin up and down with the breath. Now from here, so you see we're not doing our cobra. So normally we come up here, which can be a bit intense on the wrist. So staying on the forearms, we'll come, tuck our toes, lift our hips to a forearm plank again, and then walk to a dolphin pose. So this is a variation of a downward facing dog that you can do without putting any pressure on the wrist. So again, you might like to keep your heels lifted, soft bend in the knees, melt the heart. Now from here, you can do all your leg lifts with your breath, experiment there. And then to release, we'll bring the knees on the earth and sit back onto our heels in samurai seat. So this is actually one of my favorite poses of 2020. I love it because you can bring your fingers to separate your toes actually, and it's such an incredible opener for all of the muscles of the feet. So this is a great way to give your foundation some love and to build awareness and just create openness. We're gonna get a little fancy here. So bring your hands into a prayer, inhale here, and then as we exhale, hug your belly in, and we're gonna come all the way to a standing by shifting the weight back and coming all the way up. And then exhale, step forward and release. So I'm gonna show you that all together one more time so that you feel more confident to use this variation throughout the rest of the challenge. So here we go. Tadasana, feet are hips distance, knees are soft. Arms up, inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, look up and lengthen. Exhale, Malasana, squat pose. Inhale here. Exhale, plant the forearms and step back to a forearm plank. Inhale here. Exhale, sphinx, tops of the feet. Spread the fingers, press down, draw in. Inhale here. Exhale, forearm plank to dolphin dog. And take your 5 breaths here, whatever it is, and then gently release the knees. Whoop. And come to our samurai seat. Maybe you're taking the elbows behind the head or stretching out through the arms. Inhale here, come all the way up. And exhale, take a nice big step forward. So that's a really beautiful sequence that you can do to modify for the wrist. Anytime you have injury, always think, how could I adapt this? How can I modify this? So always feel welcome to reach out to me. I'm always happy to help. Tommy, thank you so much for your question. I think a lot of people can really benefit from that. Okay, I see some questions are starting to come into the chat. If you'd like to contribute your question, now is the time. I have a couple more. All right. This one is from Ellis, who is on the call with us right now. Ellis and I had the opportunity to do a coaching session recently, and it was just incredible. I really loved it. I really enjoy one-on-one sessions to help you go deep, to start where you're at. So if that's something that you're ready to be seen and to be heard, ready to go to that next level of depth and clarity in your life and in your practice, I'm here for you, and I'd love the opportunity to work with you. And as a gift for being a part of this challenge, you get all kinds of discounts. So you'll get 15% off coaching packages until November 30th, 15% off of our 6-week yogi training that begins at the very end of 2020 and takes us into the first couple months of the new year. So that's going to be really exciting. And you also get 50% off our upcoming virtual retreat, December 1st to 3rd, and a 30-minute free one-on-one coaching session. So that's just like crazy savings. So if you're a full yes, then I really encourage you to sign up before the end of the training. Okay, all this to say, Ellis's question. I wanted to ask you about alignment in asanas. I've been experiencing different approaches from different teachers. Some recommend aligning everything in perfect order, even if it hurts, while others give complete freedom and suggest listening to your body and doing whatever feels right without worrying too much about the perfect order or look. I see this conflict also in breathing techniques. While some suggest ujjayi breathing for the whole practice, others think it should be completely free and you shouldn't push hard to breathe in ujjayi during a difficult position, for example. There are also some key examples from the yoga gurus in the past. Krishnamacharya looks very different compared to the modern yoga images I see on the internet, for example. And she's included a few images, which we'll post in the Facebook group. And she says, what do you think? So thank you so much, Ellis, for your question. Really an important question. Am I supposed to look like they do in the pictures, or is it more important how I feel? I think a lot of us question, am I doing it right? So the key word in this question, the key word is alignment. So for those of you who've studied with me before, you know that I was a kindergarten teacher. And so the ABCs really resonate with me, and I've also created an ABC of yoga. Now the first thing is alignment, asana and alignment. So when we put our attitude in the right place, more friends joining us. When we put our body in the right shape, then the breath, the B, can flow more gracefully through us. Then the prana, the energy body, can move with more grace and ease. And then we can move into the final stage of the ABCs, which is conscious awareness, becoming more present, more aware. Our chakras, our subtle body opens. So alignment refers also to our attitude, our humility, our willingness to show up to the challenge, our willingness to be open and to learn. So the alignment of the body is designed to keep us safe, to keep us injury-free, and to help support wellness and longevity in the body. And we're opening the body, we're moving all of the stuck energy in the body, essentially so that we can sit in a meditation pose for long periods of time. So in the Yoga Sutras as well, they say asana, sthira, sukha asana. So we looked at that in yesterday, day 5, I believe, of the challenge. So every pose should have the qualities of being steady and easeful. So if you're gasping for breath, or if you're feeling pain, then you're out of alignment. So the key really is to listen to your body, to listen to your breath. Are you breathing with grace and ease and flow, or are you holding your breath, stopping the flow of life? It's less important how you look on the outside and more important how you feel on the inside. So less about worrying about how you look and how other teachers may tell you you should look, and more about aligning your physical body so that the energy body can open and move and flow freely. So, yeah, a little quote here. Remember, it doesn't matter how deep into a posture you go. What matters is who you are when you get there. So in our challenge, I share with you some universal principles of alignment, of physical alignment. Do your best to bring those qualities into your home practice, and when you can, work with a teacher, work with someone who is more experienced so that they can help to illuminate any blind spots that you may have. And this is to cultivate more openness in your heart and more openness in your mind and more flow of prana throughout your body. So I hope that helps to answer your question, Ellis. Let me know in the chat if you need any clarification with that, and I hope the rest of you have found some value in that as well. I'm just gonna take a little sip. I love alignment because when you feel aligned in a pose, you can feel the flow of energy and it just becomes a lot more easeful. So again, if ever you're in pain, if ever you're in strain, if your breath isn't flowing, if you're feeling discomfort, then back out, reposition, look at your feet, look at your limbs, look at your breath, and see how you can modify so that you can come into those qualities of sthira and sukha, steadiness and ease. So I hope that helps. Okay, this is the last question that I will share with you from here before I open it up to you guys here in the live call. This is from Gerald. He says in our Facebook group, so it seems it's easier for me to spend 2.5 hours attending a class at my local studio, which is 30 minutes each way for a 90-minute class, than finding the time for a 30-minute home practice. Rationally, does not make a lot of sense. Any others in the camp? Any tips, tricks, magic, or suggestions? Okay, I love that question. Raise your hand if that resonates with you. How has it been going for you this week? Has it been challenging to do it on your own? Has it been easier knowing that there are 108 people around the world who are practicing with you? Maybe not at the same time as you, definitely not in the same place as you physically, but energetically, you are not alone. One of the reasons that we all love going to classes so much is because, well, on the one hand, you show up and that is the biggest challenge. And then once you're in the class, you surrender to the experience. You surrender to that 90 minutes with a teacher who's guiding you on breath. You've got people on either side of you who are staying in their downward dogs for that extra couple breaths. And it's motivating. If they can do it, you can do it. And you can do it. We are social creatures. People need each other. We need each other so that we can see our blind spots. We need each other to be seen and be heard and to take us deeper than we would go on our own. So this community, this Pure Flow Yoga community, this group, they're here for you. So if you ever need motivation, just check in. I highly recommend that you connect with a yoga buddy, And we can help to arrange that within this community as well. Someone that you share an emoji in a WhatsApp group, like, hey, I showed up to practice today, celebrating. Having other people to help hold you accountable is a really powerful way to stay the course, to keep showing up. Especially in these moments where going to a class is less easy than it was before, especially at this time where, you know, so many of us are coming into our second lockdowns. Social contact is less available. So we have these tools like the internet, like Zoom, to support each other to go deep. Teamwork makes the dream work. It's just easier when we're together. And this is one of the 3 jewels of Buddhism that we'll look at on our last day. So in Buddhism, these 3 jewels are these 3 refuges. So anytime you get lost and you lose your way, there are always these 3 jewels that can help anchor you back to the remembrance of your true nature. The Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. The Buddha is your inner nature. It's your true nature. It's your Buddha nature, your individual capacity to awaken. So in everyday terms, you've got this. You can awaken. You can free yourself from suffering. It doesn't take 18 years in a cave. You can do it here and now by virtue of a consistent and dedicated practice. Anytime you lose your practice, you can remember this practice is always here. It's always ready for you when you're ready for it. The Dharma is the teachings. If you get lost, come back to the words of the Buddha, or read Eckhart Tolle, or my personal favorite is, of late, has been Untethered Soul. Excellent book, I highly recommend. And you can find on our website reading recommendations. I'll include that in our Facebook group so that you can always turn to these words that can inspire you and remind you. And the 3rd jewel of Buddhism is Sangha. It's community. It's community of people just like you who want to awaken, who want to be free of suffering, who want to be happy. Because even though we're so different in so many ways, our personalities are different, where we're from, how we were raised, how we lived our lives, what we all have in common is that we just want to be happy. We just want to be well and at peace, and we don't want to suffer. So you are not alone. Come back to this remembrance. Lastly, the secret trick to showing up every day is just to keep coming back to the why. Why have you participated in this challenge? Why have you committed to a lifestyle where yoga is a part of it? What is it that you want to feel? What is it that you want to grow within yourself? My guess is that you want to feel more balanced emotionally and mentally. You want to feel less stress, less overwhelm, less distraction, less indecisiveness. You want to feel more grounded, more centered, more at ease, more strong in your physical body, but also in your inner world. So again, every time you show up to the practice, throw yourself a little party, celebrate, because you're rocking it. You are taking a powerful step in the direction that you want to go, which is more peace, love, and well-being. So Gerald, I hope that helps to answer your question, and thank you so much for taking the time to reach out. Okay. Oh yes, and here's a little quote on that I wanted to share. This is from Judith Hanson Lasater, who's a famous modern day yogi. Just enjoy yourself. For many years, I mistook discipline as ambition. Now, I believe it to be more about consistency. Do get on the mat. Practice and life are not that different. So again, let go of the guilt, let go of the shame, and just celebrate when you do show up. It's really consistency that's going to bring you the great rewards. It's like brushing our teeth. You know, when you were a kid, do you remember how much you hated brushing your teeth and would maybe I used to argue with my parents about it and stomp my feet, but they persisted every day to the point where I can't leave the house now without brushing my teeth because I just don't feel clean. And it's not as though brushing my teeth once is going to keep my mouth and teeth clean and my breath fresh for a week. You've got to do it every day. And I'm so grateful for my parents for their persistence with my dental health. It's the same with yoga. We're going to keep practicing. We're going to keep showing up to our resistances. We're going to keep showing up, and then eventually one day it won't feel so effortful. I promise. Take my word for it, or I would say your money back, but this is a free challenge. But I can assure you, it starts becoming more easy. It starts becoming a default way of being. You start to not want to leave the house before doing your pigeon pose or your 3 sun salutations or your 5 minutes of meditation, whatever it is that you've committed to in a daily basis. So I hope that helps. Okay, so from Carolina, I have a question on breathing. I find it difficult to hold the breath and count to 4, especially after breathing out. Do I do it wrong, or is it just practice? Well, Carolina, thank you so much for your question. This is something that a lot of people are really, really challenged with. So the breath retention is known as kumbhaka. This is the space between the breaths. And it really is a question of practice. So when you're working with a teacher like myself and we're doing a generalized practice saying inhale to 4, hold to 4, exhale to 4, that may not be available for you. And that is totally 100% okay. Now what we're doing with our breath, with pranayama, is we are cultivating a quality of slowing down the nervous system. And the benefits on your body, mind, on the stress are so valuable. So what's important is not that you're able to count to 4 or 5, but that you are consciously slowing down your breath. This slows down the mind. So another technique that you might like to try is to just breathe in and breathe out, and continuing each exhale, seeing if you can lengthen your exhale a little bit more each cycle, or maybe extending the retention, the kumbhaka, every time. So for the rest of our challenge, why not try breathing in till 3, hold till 3, and exhale to 3. Find a ratio that works for you. It is all about setting yourself up for success and meeting yourself where you're at. Celebrating all wins and letting go of comparison and letting go of some kind of outer goal or ideal. So again, I just want to bring that back, that yoga is all about the journey. It's not about the destination. So Carolina, did that answer your question? I hope so, and I hope you were able to find some value. I have another question from Alyssa. A lot of my friends are trying ayahuasca as a strong spiritual experience. Would you have an advice on this from the yogic perspective? Ayahuasca is strong and immediate, seems very different to the effect of yoga and meditation. Alyssa, that's a really relevant question. There is a massive rise in the use of ayahuasca and other plant medicines to help with the awakening process. And it can be incredibly powerful, incredibly illuminating, and really shed light on traumas and challenges that live deep in the cellular level of your body. So just to take a step back for a moment, there's a really big difference between yoga and seeing a psychologist, for example. Maybe in a more traditional psychological approach, you'll unpack the traumas and the issues of your childhood and try to work them out. Whereas yoga is really about saying, okay, there are these challenges and traumas in my body, and I am going to consciously cultivate releasing them. Now, plant medicines give you a direct experience of interconnection with an intelligence that is so much greater than the individual. So it gives you an experience of yoga, and that can be really valuable. So if this is something that you're feeling a full body yes to, then it might be worth investigating and trying. I would recommend that if you are going down the plant medicine path, that you are extremely discerning about the shaman or the practitioner that you work with. Also, stay mindful that it's not something that you should do because of peer pressure. It is a very individual journey and a very individual choice. Now, you can think of an ayahuasca experience as a kind of top-up or a kind of a big shake-up to take you out of whatever loop or story that you might be stuck in. But it is something that you are taking from the outer world and bringing into the inner world. It's a peak experience, which means that it's not sustainable. You have a glimpse, and what can happen once you have a glimpse is that you can maintain that awareness with practice. There is no shortcut to awakening. There's no shortcut. If you want to maintain the openness, the love, the expansion that you experience with these plant medicines or psychedelics, then you need to keep showing up to your practice every day to integrate those openings. I cannot stress enough the importance of integration. Because if you don't integrate, what can happen is that you have this peak experience and you think, wow, I have just seen God, I have just seen love, I have just connected to the universal source of all that is. And what can happen is that you develop a spiritual ego. You think, oh, well, I'm better than these other people who haven't had that experience, or I know something that other people don't know. The key is to stay humble. If it resonates with you, then go for it. But remember, the practice of yoga has been around for a really long time, and it really is all about achieving peace and love from the inside out rather than the outside in. Now, that being said, yoga is a syncretic and living tradition. Yoga is not something that lives in textbooks from 5,000 years ago that are in a dusty library somewhere. Today, we are uncovering all kinds of research in science and modern day studies and new ways of integrating different knowledge from all of the wisdom traditions, be they from South America or India or, Canada. We use what serves us. So like anything in life, take what serves you and let go of the rest. This is a journey. It is an experiment. It is an ongoing discovery of life and love and who you are. So, Alyssa, I hope that helps to answer your question to this really big subject. There's a lot of research that's coming out nowadays about soma and how the Brahmins of the ancient yoga would have ayahuasca in ceremonies to help breed these states of love and connection. So there is some evidence now that soma, this elusive nectar of the gods, is something that has been used traditionally. So there's no black and white. The key is, if you want to integrate love, peace, awareness, bliss, you have got to practice. There aren't any shortcuts. I hope that helps. You're welcome. All right, you guys. So I just want to thank you again from the bottom of my heart for investing in yourself throughout this challenge and for trusting me to take you on this journey. I would really love the opportunity to continue working with you, and there's a lot of virtual ways that we can do this. So for you guys, the registration for the virtual retreat is now open, and this is a way to really deepen your practice and to work with me in a more intimate way to kickstart your practice and to re-inspire you to go deeper and to connect. We also have a 6-week yogi training that starts at the end of December, and you have 15% off of that until the end of November. I'm also offering you 15% off all coaching packages with me, which is a 3-month journey of transformation. So if any of this resonates with you, I would love you to support me in my new journey of online offerings to support you so that I can help you, take you from where you're at to take you to the next level. This would be my absolute privilege. So I want to thank you so much again for showing up today.